This is the Bush Whisperer, somewhere between the Penguin Sanctuary and my favorite tree, Windmill Beach. There's a very ancient tree. What's on my mind now is the ocean, because I can hear the ocean. I can feel it and I can smell it. And what is the ocean? The ocean it's like the mother. When I get close to the ocean, I notice there is a spirit. There is a consciousness and there is an awareness. It seems to be operating in and through and around the ocean. It's as if it calls to you. It's as if it speaks to you. And when you gaze upon the water's edge of the patterns that are being shared by the movement that is producing life, adding oxygenation to the water so that the plants and the animals in the water can survive, one is moved by a sense of peace. Peace that inspires the beauty that the eyes can see. And when one considers the ocean, one can only see a reflection upon the edge of the water. And one is aware of how one can only see the edge of the reflection on the water. For the water is also mysterious. The depths of the ocean are unseen, unknown, unfathomed. And one can swim into the ocean, but when one swims in the ocean, one is like a fish out of water. One has to exist in the state of faith in the ocean's hands, that she will look after you and keep you safe. Here where I live is the breeding ground for great whites, the biggest breeding ground in the world. So we've got a lot of great white sharks here. We've got a lot of other kinds of sharks too. When I go into the sea at water's edge, there are lots of sharks swimming past my legs. Smaller sharks, but they don't bite you, they're okay. It's only the great whites that are an issue. So where I live, you learn to be close to sharks, you learn to accept them. You don't accept the great whites though, because they can be cheeky. Though when considering the ocean as a metaphor, it's important to understand this. That the ocean is also a reflection of a part of ourselves. The sphere of water, the element of water within us. And the element of water is one that reflects. So the principle of the ocean that can be gained by being in the presence of the spirit of the ocean, from a shamanic perspective, is that attribute of reflection. Being able to reflect upon one's life. Being able to reflect upon one's deeds in the past. Being able to reflect upon the thoughts that we've been thinking. And the emotions that we allow to move through us, and to reflect upon how this affects us and the fundamental changes it makes upon us through the process of allowing this. And so reflection is somehow an important part of the nature of being. And it's something that we only do when we stop. For the ocean tends to make us want to stop. It tends to make us want to stop, breathe, become aware, listen, and smell. And the smell of the ocean is quite fascinating. I love the smells. The salt in the air tends to inspire the nose to become awakened, to become attuned to what's happening around oneself. And so when we engage with our sense of smell, we're engaging with the fundamental physical presence. It activates our analysis, our capacity to analyze, and the capacity for rational thinking. Funnily enough, the sense of smell does this. From a Vedic cosmological perspective, it activates the Muladhara chakra. And the Muladhara chakra brings one into alignment with this rational, earth-grounding element of consciousness. So it's got a lot of really interesting facets when you look at what the ocean produces. It produces the element of water, the ability to reflect. It produces from the element of air the ability to feel. For we can feel the ocean viscerally on our skin when we enter it. And we can even feel the movement of the salt air upon our skin. It also produces the obvious earth element by activating the sense of smell in the most profound of ways. So realize that being near the ocean is something quite special. It's a profound gift. And it's a cleansing because there's an ionic energetic spectrum that's happening. So the ionization of the salts in the water and the moving water, moving the oxygen, creates a field. It's like an electromagnetic sheath, if you would, like a bubble around the ocean. And when one enters into that bubble, one feels so uplifted. It tends to negate the negative impacts of emotions. This is something that the ocean has an automatic way of doing for people. If you're feeling sad or depressed or stressed and you go to the sea, it just all melts away. And this has got a lot to do with ionization because emotions are bound in the ionic field around us. And they are programmed by the hormones. For the hormones program the electromagnetic field in this way. And so the ions are managed in this manner. Which is why we say emot ions, emotions, or pass ions, passions. And so this is why the word ion is in all of these words. It's not just a coincidence. It's not just by accident. The forefathers that actually created these words had a lot more sense than what we do. We're living in this ignorant age of blissful stupidity, where we have dictionaries that try to change the meanings of words every 50 years, every 100 years, to keep up with the times. They're actually creating a sense of personal delusion, born of double speak, which disconnects us from ourselves and reality. For reality is defined by the word, very much. And if we don't understand the meanings of words, you see, words are shapes, and they're sounds. And sounds are shapes, which are pictures, which are geometric forms. So when we understand that the sound of a word, all words have an onomatopoeic quality, whether we're aware of it or not. There's a subtle, some of them are very obvious and directly observable. Some of them are more subtle. But the moment we start messing with the meanings of words, we're starting to lose an essential part of the meaning of the nature of the word. So it's important for us to be able to look and understand what it is we're saying, and look and understand what it is we're experiencing, and realize what the connection is. So water has this way of cleansing the passions, cleansing the heart, cleansing the mind, and bringing one to a state of reflection. And the ocean is probably the most profound of the archetypal states around us. It's a very natural state of consciousness to be in. It relates to the subconscious, allowing the subconscious to flow freely. And when one is aware of how the ocean affects our subconscious, one's able to observe the effects more closely. For we all know that when we go to the sea, we feel good and we feel relaxed, and we just feel like we can just sing and just be and just relax and enjoy. And this is a natural state of being. And the subconscious is not bound by the conscious rules of what we think we ought to be doing, what we think we ought to say, how we think we ought to behave. For the ocean just behaves the way that it will. And when you're swimming in the sea, you've got to move with the currents. You can't just be deciding what it is you want to do. You're bound by the powers of the waves, you're bound by the powers of the flow of currents, and you will be moved around by the ocean. Any surfer will explain to you that in order to be able to surf, you've got to understand the sea. You've got to move with the currents, or you're going to tire yourself out. You've got to know when to paddle out to sea. You've got to know when to paddle to catch a wave. You've got to work with the energy. So it teaches us the spirit of interaction in a sense, because we think of ourselves as being above nature, mastering nature. But when we're in the ocean, we realize how insignificant we really are and how we are bound by the laws of nature. So there's a powerful teaching element that comes when one interacts with the ocean as well. A humbling sense. Because when one enters into the ocean, one also realizes how large this ocean is, and that it sort of stretches out and touches all corners of the world. So there's something I'm going to leave you with for the day. This is the Bush Whisperer, sharing a few words about the ocean. Have a great day. Om Shanti.